G'day there guys, unironic crippling addiction to making Am I the A-hole videos here. It's your main man Markee and welcome back to me stuttering over words once again. I hope you enjoy your stay here, smack that like button, subscribe if you haven't, check if you're subscribed down below real quick, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, click and you're back in the room. Okay, now I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a prawn on the barbecue and enjoy today's bloody good content. Thank you. Posted by user Took My Kids, Am I the A-hole? Titled, Am I the A-hole for moving after winning full custody of my sons? So my wife and I got a divorce last year. Our relationship failed after she was charged with felony credit card fraud and ended up pleading guilty to a lesser charge. She had been a stay-at-home mum to our two sons, 5 and 3, and had taken credit cards out in my mum's name to pay for God knows what. She shattered my trust. I work full-time and make a decent living, but nothing extravagant. I had no clue what my wife was doing until cops showed up at my door with a warrant and took my wife away in cuffs and took 2 laptops as evidence. When I got the full story, I filed for divorce immediately. Aside from being a criminal, she was a good mom. She tried to justify what she did by saying she was just doing what was best for our kids, which I felt was total BS, given that she never mentioned wanting for anything, and any time she asked to spend on something, I almost always said yes. I hired a good lawyer and asked for full custody of my kids. My ex begged me not to do that, saying she needed her kids, but she was still looking at up to a year in jail, and nothing her lawyer said could sway the judge to grant her anything more than supervised visitation. She ended up doing 90 days in jail, paying some fines and restitution, but I've allowed her to see our sons almost every time she's asked. The last year has been total hell, but we've made it work. A few months ago, I was offered a much more lucrative position a few states away. I talked with my lawyer about what it would mean if I moved and what the process was. He said that since I have full custody, I have to file a petition with the court to move. So I told my wife what I wanted to do, and she exploded. She claimed I was stealing her kids from her, that she's made a lot of strides to get herself to a better place, and that she would fight me tooth and nail for her kids. Well, I filed the petition, got the go-ahead from the courts, and accepted the job. When the judge gave his ruling, my wife burst into tears and began sobbing. It was heartbreaking. I know in my head that I'm doing the right thing for my sons. They are young enough that a move like this won't be too traumatic, but I also feel like their lives have already been completely overturned, and I'm just adding more to that. As for my wife, she's a wreck. She's been begging me to reconsider the move, trying everything from guilt trips to manipulation to bargaining. It's like she's going through the stages of grief, but from my point of view, she did this to herself. She lied and broke the law. I have very little sympathy for her. I know at some point she will probably try to file for partial custody, and I'm prepared for that. For now, I'm just trying to do what's best for me and my sons. Does that make me an a-hole? Edit. Thank you to everyone who commented, even the ones who called me a heartless a-hole for taking my sons away from their mother. This post has given me a lot of perspective and I appreciate that. A couple things I want to clear up that I keep getting asked about that I wasn't able to include in my original post. 1. The area my sons and I live in is a smaller community. Not everyone knows everyone small, but close. The crime my ex committed was news here. It was in the paper. People know about it. I get weird looks when I'm out in public. People have stopped inviting my sons to birthday parties, and I don't want my sons to be bullied and teased in school about their mother being a criminal. 2. I'm not going to permanently alienate my sons from their mother. I will make sure they're able to talk and FaceTime with her whenever they want. I will be the one who makes the drive back in order for them to see her until she's able to make arrangements to allow her to do so. I will continue to work with my ex to make sure she is included in things like birthdays and holidays. 3. I know my sons and I will all need therapy from this. There is no good mental health available where my previous job is. My new job offers on-site childcare, and I will have access to counseling and therapy for myself and my sons that we would not have access to without moving. The schools near my new job are head and shoulders above the ones near my previous job. 4. If my ex gets her life back on track and is able to move closer to us, I'm all for it. If she does the things she needs to in order to petition for shared custody, I don't intend on fighting her for that. But until she does that, I will not allow her anything more than the supervised visits ruled by the court. I will also not ask for any of the court-ordered child support. We won't need it. And 5. To all the people who screamed, "But she's their mother," yes, and she always will be. And I remind my sons daily that their mum loves them very much, and that she wishes she can be with them like before. I am angry and resentful of my wife, but I work very, very hard to not let any of those feelings impact my sons and their relationship with their mum. After all of that, extra information you've added, I find it so hard to give you anything but a not the a-hole judgment. You seem to be doing the very best for your kids, and I respect that so much, and I want you to keep doing that, and keep being strong for them. That's where I start and end my judgment for this one. You've given me more than enough reason to believe you and respect your reasonings for everything. So yeah, not the a-hole. Jessica Jones 2 says, "This is tough. The divorce and getting full custody? Fully deserved, not the a-hole on that account. Moving to another part of the country where she'll have no contact with him? I'm not so sold on this. I think that you're still in pain and resent her, and rightfully so. But I'm not sure this is the best you can do regarding your children's relationship with their mother. Does she have any possibility of getting a job, of moving, or is she a financial mess as well, and what are her living conditions like now? Have you gone to therapy? Let me be clear, she did what she did, and she's been held accountable for it. You've got a right to move from a legal perspective, but moving, when you know she can't do the same, will massively screw her relationship with your children, and it will only lead to more anger, resentment, and pain." Edit, based on further comments from OP, not the a-hole on all accounts. As has been pointed out, he's got a financial responsibility over his kids now, as his ex isn't paying child support. All I suggest is that the relationship between mother and kids still be allowed, as far as the law is involved / allowing, with FaceTime or whatever means are possible, because further isolation won't be healthy for the kids either, in my opinion. And OP replies, "I don't know her full financial situation. I know she's working a couple part-time jobs and has a small 2-bedroom apartment. Whether or not she could move, I don't know. She's under probation, so she'd need to apply to move anyway. My new job pays over twice what my previous did. It's a huge opportunity for me to provide a better life for my sons. I don't want to sit around here and wait for my ex to get her crap together." Info. How are you going to maintain your son's relationship with their mother? Does she pay child support? If you alienate them from her, they will resent you. She may eventually be able to go back to court with a parental alienation claim. I'm reserving judgment. And OP replies, "I haven't put too much thought into that part yet, but I do not intend on completely isolating them from her. If she can figure out a way to see them, I will not prevent that. I imagine holidays will be something we need to figure out as well. But like I said, I do not intend on preventing her from seeing her sons. She's court-ordered to pay child support, but so far, I haven't seen a dime and I haven't asked. You may need to think of it. If she's on probation, she may not be able to come to you. And frankly, I'm not sure she'll be able to afford to travel to you anyway, as she was a stay-at-home mum. I'm not saying that you aren't doing what's best for your kids, but I feel like you're just screwing your ex because you are hurt, angry, and sad. All totally valid feelings about the situation, and using your sons in the process. So I'm going with everyone sucks here, except your sons." And OP replies, "I will admit that part of me wants to move so that I can get a fresh start as well. The last year has been total hell for me. I'm trying to not use my kids as pawns here, but I know this job can offer us opportunities that my current job just can't match." And now on to the update. I got a lot of people asking for an update on this situation, and since a few things have changed, I figured I would go for it. I did end up taking the new job and moved with my sons. We've been settling into our new lives quite nicely over the last month, and things have been going really well. My sons love the new house, they've made friends with some other kids their age in the neighborhood. My job has been going really well, and I really couldn't have hoped for things to go better than they have. I got both of my sons into a great therapy program, and the three of us have also been doing counseling sessions together. My boys have been adjusting amazingly well, and I'm so happy and proud of how they've handled this. We've also made 2 trips back to see their mother, since she's still in the process of figuring out what she will be allowed to do in relation to her probation. We've also been doing many video calls a week with her, and my sons still don't understand why their mum isn't here with us, but they do seem to grasp that this is going to be their new normal. In comparison with how well myself and my sons are adjusting, my ex is the complete opposite. She is still very angry with me and thinks I'm a complete a-hole. She's frustrated with the process of going through the courts to be allowed to move. She's frustrated that I'm not willing to drive our sons back to see her as often as she'd like. And she feels she's being marginalized in their lives and that I'm pulling them away from her. When she was complaining about all of this during our last visit, I reminded her that all of those things are consequences of her own actions, and she blew up at me, saying I'm kicking her when she's already down, and I didn't need to take her sons away from her. I told her how well our sons are doing and how happy they are, and she should be proud of how strong and resilient they've been. She then started begging me to please move back so that she can be closer because she's not sure the courts will allow her to move, and the process is taking too long. I told her that wasn't going to happen, but if there is anything I can do with the court process, then I would be willing to help if I can. I reminded her that I haven't said anything about her not paying the court-ordered child support, but that our boys seem to be in a much better place already, and I'm not going to take that away from them. Every time we have a video call with her, as soon as she says goodbye to our sons, she starts asking me to consider moving back home. I tell her every time that is not happening. I'm not a robot, and I do feel bad to see her so desperate and distraught, but when I look at my sons playing and laughing with their new friends, I know I've done the right thing, no matter the cost to my ex. And in the comments, Prince West asks, I asked this on the original post, but did your ex ever come clean about where the untraceable cash payments went towards? That's still a big thing that should bug you when it comes to trust with your kids. Encourage her to get therapy, and please pressure her into coming clean about that money, and get her to show evidence so she's telling the truth. She's made some vague statements about paying cash for designer clothes, other high-price items, but still not enough to account for all of it, and I still take most of what she tells me with a large grain of salt. That's concerning. Hopefully, through counseling, she might be able to get the courage to open up and admit to where the rest of that money, your mum's money, went. This might just be me being paranoid, but if you don't believe she's telling you the whole truth, you might need to hold off on letting your kids see her if she gets the approval to move. That money could have gone to anything. Have you for sure ruled out drug abuse or an affair? I don't even know if a designer brand would even allow you to pay in cash. You said it was a small town. Did you have a legit retailer nearby in the first place? Otherwise, she'd have to put it on a prepaid visa, then use that to order stuff online. She passed every drug test she was given, and it's pretty difficult to hide an affair in a town the size of the one we lived in without someone eventually spilling the news all over town. There's also gambling addiction. Eats up a lot of money with nothing to show for it. I reminded her that I hadn't said anything about her not paying the court-ordered child support. How did she end up on the hook for paying child support, given her status? It's a token amount based on her income. With my higher salary, I don't need her to help to provide for our kids, but she hasn't made an effort to pay anything yet either. She's going to blame you when they take her tax refund, lol. She already blames me for a lot of things. We'll just add that one to the list. Just want to piggyback and say if she's not making an effort to pay child support in any way, likely no court would give her partial custody anyways. She's not showing she can support kids in any minimal capacity. Also, my father raised my sister and I alone, but courts ruled for 50-50 custody because you can't separate kids from their mother. BS. Both mums and dads can be incapable of being a parent. Her fraud history and subsequent emotional breakdown, as it seems, definitely puts her in the category of not being responsible enough for custody's sake. Keep up the good work. You sound like a good father. Yes, reading the "but she's their mother" comments in the original thread, along with what the extended family was saying, is BS. Being a parent doesn't automatically mean you're a good one. So many stories here where OPs are definitely not the a-hole, but feel massive guilt cutting ties or setting boundaries with crappy family members. Most because they've been told family is everything. They raised you, and this is how you repay them? It's so deeply ingrained that you struggle to see yourself as an individual with your own needs. And I think that's where I'm going to leave that post. I think we've gotten enough out of it. I think we can understand where the OP stands and where his ex stands on this one. Do you guys think it's fair that he's just cutting ties and moving away like that? Or do you think that the mother has a point and she should be able to see her kids more? Let me know down in the comments below. I'd love to see your answers and takes on this one. Posted by user FunComputer6668. Titled, "Would I be the a-hole if I tell my fiancé he cannot use my savings for his student debt?" Some background info. I grew up in an Asian family in Asia with the mentality that my parents would take care of me and I would take care of them when they grow older. Because of this mentality, there is no such thing as separate finances in my household. My fiancé grew up in an Asian family in America and doesn't really have such mentality growing up. Last night, I was going over my bank statement and my fiancé accidentally saw the amount of money that I have in my savings. He was so excited when he told me that I can use that money to help him pay for the remaining student loan that he has. I told him I can't do that. That money belongs to my family, my parents and I. Well, he didn't understand. So I told him that the reason I was able to save up was because there's a mutual understanding between my parents and I. I went to a state school near my house, so I didn't have any student loans, and when I got my job, I still stayed with my parents. My parents would still pay for the rent, utilities, food and such. I would then save up 2/3 of my salary every month, and I also helped out with car insurance and other expenses if needed. Even though the money is in my account, I considered it as my family's savings. He told me that he's also my family now, and I should use it to help him out a little. I told him that I need to ask my parents, and even if they agreed, I can only help out a portion, but not all. He blew up, saying I was selfish and that this is America. He and I should be a unit, not my parents and I. This is a place where I think I would be an a-hole, because technically we're not married yet, and as for now, I don't think he can just demand it. Besides, even if we're married, I don't think he's entitled to my family's savings. It's simply not his money. Would I be the a-hole to tell him my thinking on this subject? Personally, I think it's pretty telling that he sees that money and just straight up assumes that you're going to pay for his student loan debts. Even if I was in that situation as him, I'd be like, cool, you got money, you're well set up, but this is my debt to pay off, and I've accumulated it. It's my responsibility. It's no one else's to pay it off. That's some real smooth brain thinking from this guy. He's like a koala. He can only eat eucalyptus leaves if they're on a tree, and if he sees them on the floor, he's just going to starve to death because his brain can't comprehend anything but that. I would genuinely question the marriage from this point forward if he expects you to pay off his student loans. Even, removing the fact that it's your parents and your money, the fact that he wants you to pay his student loans off is ridiculous. I'm offended on your behalf. It doesn't matter if asking your parents or not, they'll probably say the same thing. So for this one, I'm going with not the a-hole. Stand your ground. Edit. Thank you for all your responses. Some people asked if he's the man I want to marry, and frankly, I'm thinking about the same thing nowadays. When we were dating, I told him up front about my family dynamics, and he told me he understood. He knew I had some money saved up and put aside, he just didn't know how much. He just completely changed after the engagement. I honestly don't know what happened to him. Edit 2. Thanks for all your support. Some people asked if my parents had a retirement plan, and the answer is yes. However, considering how we moved to America less than 10 years ago, his retirement plan cannot actually support both my parents. My fiancé and I currently live with my parents, and my parents didn't ask him to contribute to any household expense because they considered him as part of the family. We didn't ask him to save his money or anything though. He can do whatever with his money. That's why it's really shocked me when he didn't consider my parents as part of our family. I'm rethinking about our whole relationship now. And edit 3. I know the notion of putting money aside for your parents sounds odd. Let me be a bit clearer. My parents never think that the money is theirs alone. I can use it freely if I want to. It's for the future, and if I choose to use it for his debt, they wouldn't mind as long as I discuss with them. They would even use their own savings to help out if needed. If he asked and discussed it with my family and me instead of berating me, I'm confident that we could work something out. And in the comments, Jabber in Blue Jeans says, the two of you have wildly different perspectives about money, and neither of them are wrong. But you need to have a serious conversation and come to an agreement about it before you get married, because this is the sort of thing that will tear you apart. No a-holes here. On the one hand, I agree. On the other hand, the way the fiancé reacted to this difference and jumped to shaming OP has me side-eyeing him and thinking he's a bit of an a-hole. I agree he is an a-hole about this. I just imagined him having this money eyes expression when he saw the amount of money in OP's account. Not the a-hole. If it's a significant sum of money, you should also see a lawyer about drawing up a prenup and keep that family money separate from your joint accounts after marriage, or turn it over to your parents' accounts before you get married. This is very good advice. Should you keep the money in your account under your name, it could be determined to be a marital asset. It would be best to separate the money out so that your future husband cannot access it without your knowledge. And not the a-hole. Just because you're in a relationship with someone does not allow them to dictate your finances. Fiancé can't see an amount of money and be like, woo, student loans paid off. Y'all aren't married yet. Although, if you want to marry this person, talk about finances now. Lay out the rules and listen to what they expect fiscally as well. Hash this out before you get married. They aren't even married yet. He saw the amount of money in her shared account and immediately said, mine. Three's a crowd. He cannot expect OP to give him money out of a shared account on a whim. He was already aware about her family dynamics and agreed to respect it, and now he's going back on his word? The money is from an agreement OP and her family made. Her parents are entitled to these funds as well. I just want to point out how fiancé argues that he's family, so OP should pay the rest of his loans, and yet simultaneously disapproves of her dynamic, in which she must support her family. Yes, OP is in America, but some families still hold on to their culture. Fiancé isn't even satisfied with OP contributing to part of his loans, he wants the entire thing to be paid by OP. And now on to the update. Thank you all for your responses and judgments. It made me realize we had some differences, and I had a long talk with him. Long story short, we broke up. He told me he only wanted to marry me because he saw my savings statement way earlier, and thought that I would share it with him. He moved back to his family. This happened weeks ago, but I just wanted times to feel like myself again, so I was delaying the update post. Thank you again. Quote, he told me he only wanted to marry me because he saw my savings statement way earlier and thought I would share it with him. End quote. I hope you're aware he only said this to hurt you because you were dumping him. It's almost certainly untrue. He wants you to feel unattractive. He wants to damage you by saying this. All it shows is that breaking up has made him angry and he needs to lash out. He had a lot of emotional investment in you, which contradicts his statement. Good luck, and know that your future will be much better without him, and in partnership with some other man. Very much this. It's like when a guy comes onto you and you reject him, and he can't handle the rejection and tries to turn it around by saying, "Fine, I'd never be with an ugly tramp like you anyway," even though minutes earlier he was practically salivating over you. Opie, he's trying to hurt you and preserve his own ego. But it's a lie. While it may be a bit too soon for you to consider yourself lucky to have dodged this particular bullet, please don't ever doubt that you deserve better than this, and try not to take his cruel lies to heart. This is exactly what I was thinking. He's going to throw every insult and degrading thing he can think of because he is hurting. That doesn't excuse his behavior. Just goes to show his maturity level is not beyond that of a child throwing a fit when they don't get their way. Nunabusa says, "I dated and became engaged to a mooching loser many years ago. And if there is anything I can suggest is that, now you are free of him, work on your self-esteem. There are good partners out there, but you won't attract them until you value and protect yourself more." And Judge Janice says, "It was the right thing to do, but I know it must be really painful to readjust all your plans. You deserve someone better, and I'm sure you will find them. Concentrate on you for now. Also, buy some chocolate. Chocolate never lets you down. Good wishes for a beautiful future." G'day there guys, and that's the end of today's episode. I do hope you enjoyed it and were entertained by today's bloody good content. As always, I want to do a quick shout out and a thank you to all my channel members and Patreon subscribers. Your beautiful faces and names will be up on screen right now. Haven't forgot about you guys, sorry I was taking a little break there. So yeah, if you see yourself, give yourself a pat on the back. If you want to be on this screen, there's links down in the description below where you can sign up and help support the channel and all future projects that I'm going to be doing on this one. With all that said, I hope you guys have an amazing day, night, sleep, whatever you're up to. I'll see you in the next episode, and I do hope you enjoy it. Thank you.